All right, let's get right into it. If you spend any time with an AI, you've definitely had this happen. You get an answer that is, well, it's just wrong. But here's the thing, not all wrong answers are created equal. We're going to break down how you can become a pro at figuring out what's going on, because there are two totally different types of mistakes, and they each need a different fix.
Right, you ask for something that seems simple, a fact, a piece of code, whatever, and what you get back just feels off. It's a super common thing, but just hitting regenerate over and over isn't the answer. The real key is understanding why it got it wrong in the first place.
And this is where most of us get tripped up. We treat every bad answer like it's the same kind of problem. But the secret, the real game changer, is realizing there are two different flavors of wrong. One's a problem with logic, and the other is a problem with reality. And knowing which is which, that's everything.
So, where do we even begin? Well, it all boils down to one single, really powerful question. Just think of this as your go-to diagnostic tool. The one thing you ask that tells you exactly which path you need to go down.
Okay, so check this out. This flowchart right here is going to be our map. It all starts when the AI gives you an answer you're not sure about. The very first thing you do is ask that critical question at the top. If the answer is yes, meaning there should be a real source for this claim, then you're dealing with a simple error. We followed that path. But if the answer is no, like the AI is talking about facts or sources that just don't exist, then we're heading down the other path. That, my friend, is a hallucination.
And here it is again, just so it sinks in. This is the big one. Can this claim be objectively verified in reality? Can you actually go and check it against a real-world source, a known fact, a piece of data? Your answer here, a simple yes or no, is the fork in the road.
All right, so let's take that yes path first. Let's say the AI gives you a claim that can be checked, but it's still wrong. This is great news, actually. It means you're not dealing with some made-up fantasy, you're just dealing with a good old-fashioned error.
So an AI error is, at its heart, grounded in reality. It means the AI had access to the right stuff, real data, a legitimate source. It just, fumbled the ball. It misinterpreted something, messed up the math, or got the logic steps tangled up. The foundation is real, the execution was just a little clumsy.
So what does this look like? Well, it could be a simple math mistake. Or maybe it pulls the right info but sticks the wrong date on it. Or maybe it tries to follow your instructions, but it gets the order of operations all mixed up. The key thing to remember is that you can trace it all back to a real, verifiable source.
So how do we fix this? You basically act like its math tutor. You ask it to show its work, to give you its train of thought so you can see where it went off the rails. A great technique is to break the big problem down into smaller, simpler steps. Or you can even just show it an example of a right answer versus the wrong one it gave you. You're just tightening up the logic.
But what if the answer to our big question is no? What if the claim can't be verified? Well, now you've stepped into a totally different world. Now you're dealing with a hallucination.
A hallucination is exactly what it sounds like. The AI is just making things up out of thin air. It'll give you an answer that sounds super plausible, totally confident, but it has zero basis in reality. You ask for a source, and it can't give you a real one, because, well, a real one doesn't exist. It's an invented fact.
And there are some telltale signs to watch out for. The AI will sound way too confident about some obscure topic. And the moment you push back with follow-up questions, like, hey, where'd you get that from, or can you show me the data? The whole argument just crumbles. It's got nothing to back it up.
Correcting a hallucination needs a completely different playbook. You're not fixing logic here. You're giving it a dose of reality. You have to provide it with real-world grounding. Feed it verifiable facts, respectable sources, things it can trust. And here's a pro tip, just tell it up front. If you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know. That one little instruction can stop it from trying to invent an answer just to please you.
So let's bring this all home. This whole thing is really about a shift in your mindset. When you're working with AI, you're not just a passive user, you're more like a guide. And as a guide, you've got two different playbooks for two very different problems.
Here's the bottom line. For hallucinations, your job is to control the knowledge. You give it real-world grounding and provide the facts. You become the source of truth. But for errors, your job is to be the logic editor. You tighten up your instructions, you break down the complexity, and you help it test its own reasoning.
So when an AI gives you a wrong answer, it's not a roadblock. It's actually an invitation to work together. By knowing if you're up against a simple error or a wild hallucination, you get the power to steer the machine to the right answer. Which kind of makes you think, when you're the one doing the guiding, who's really in charge here?